EQ section. We're going to start with a little bitty switch at the bottom of the EQ section that can come in very handy. The low cut filter. The low cut filter is 3 dB down at 75 Hz and mucho dB down lower than that. This sharp filter is great for getting rid of room rumble, traffic noise, wind noise, mic jiggles, and other very low frequency sound. In fact, we recommend that you leave the low cut filter engaged on any channel that has a vocal microphone, especially in live PA situations. When combined with the low shelving EQ, which we'll cover later, low cut can produce some very useful curves. We began with the low cut filter because it's the only part of the channel strip's EQ section that cannot be defeated by the EQ in-out. Parametric high mid, low shelving, and high shelving EQ functions can all be switched in and out of the channel with the EQ in-out switch. But the low cut filter is not affected by EQ in-out. If you have low cut switched in, you have it switched in for a reason, such as cutting room rumble, and don't want this filter accidentally removed while you bring other EQ in or out. Now we go to the controls that truly distinguish our 8-bus console from its comparably priced competitors. High-mid consists of 3 controls: the normal boost cut knob, a frequency control, somewhat like the sweep control on other consoles, and a bandwidth control. Together, this true parametric EQ gives you, dare we say, unequaled control over the most critical frequency range. A bandwidth control that lets you vary the width of your mid-range EQ curve from 3 octaves wide to as narrow as 1/12 of an octave. The next high-mid control is more familiar. It's the frequency center, or sweep control. When combined with a variable bandwidth, a frequency sweep control becomes truly useful. Combined with a wide bandwidth, it lets you do gentle, overall equalization that's simply not possible with conventional swept mids. Being able to sweep a very narrow bandwidth lets you create a tighter notch filter than you could with a 3rd octave equalizer, or very narrow boosts that can add sheen to a cymbal or help distinguish between 2 similar instruments. Of course, if you're nostalgic for 1.5 octave fixed swept mid found on our competitors' consoles, you can have that too, since it does have its applications. The third high mid-range control is the obvious one, the boost and cut knob. While it does go to plus 15 and minus 15 dB, the most valuable thing to remember about this control is that you should use EQ sparingly. See what we mean? The 8-bus's low-mid equalization is more conventional swept mid-range with boost and band center controls. Frequency center can be varied from 45 Hz. That ought to satisfy anyone's idea of low mid-range. To 3000 Hz. Finally, the Mackie 8-bus console has high and low shelving EQ. Because the 12 kHz high EQ works on a broad range of frequencies, in moderate doses it's quite musical sounding. That's because it cuts or boosts all the upper harmonics of a sound evenly. For example, it's great for putting shimmer in acoustic guitar or piano tracks. Low shelving EQ is fixed at 80 Hz. It's good for working on bass drum or bass guitar, fattening up a piano sound, or contouring a whole mix. Like high EQ, low EQ is a shelving control that affects the entire low end. To summarize, before you completely fall asleep, the 8-bus console offers unparalleled EQ flexibility, high shelving, a high mid-range with almost 18K range, a traditional swept mid,
low shelving,
and low cut.